Single Simulcast is about a lot of things. This podcast may make you laugh, cry, or pound your fists into your desk. If you hear something you like or something you don't, leave a voicemail at 916-572-9016 or email us at singlesimulcast@gmail.com.
1. Single Simulcast.
A non-person of color asked in this business group that I'm in a question, and then I said, well, I'm doing such and such without explicitly saying so. And she was like, take a position, girl. You know, be explicit, like, do it. And I was just like, oh my God. And she was like all for my original message. So then I feel like I'm flapping in the wind, you know, like I'm, I don't know.
I get it.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm just, I don't know what to say anymore. So I just feel like when I feel like this is the time when I should just be still and like not keep making changes, because then, you know, you never land anywhere, I guess. I don't know.
Very true. The one thing that I would say, well, other than the fact that I simply loved the original name, I thought that it was a beautiful name. I thought that it made me want to listen. Like it in that podcast group, which I think it was the podcast movement group, which is, I'd say 95% white folks, probably about 3% black, and then the rest are unknown or you know, non-specific races. Your show's name stood out.
Yeah.
And all of that. When people were putting, because I think that I first saw your show's name in the midst of somebody asking, what's your show and why? Like, basically, what's the elevator speech for your show? Which is something I always ask podcasters. Because you never know when you might run into somebody who's like, I'm looking to produce a show. You have 2 minutes or even less. You have 25 seconds to tell me about your show. Go. And when you said the name of the show, I was just like, whoa, okay, I would like to talk with them. I would like to have the opportunity to hear more about this, because listeners, I don't know if y'all know this, but black kids are fucking magic. Black folks are magic. Black women are magic. For black women to ordain our kids as magic is, to me, a way of passing the torch from one to the next. Woke Kidz sounds like somebody who just woke up from a nap. Like you're, it sounds like a podcast where you're gonna have like nursery rhymes in the background, like now we're all gonna laugh and play.
That does not.
Well, because white folks will hear that and think that it's everything's not made for everybody, you know. And they can find
that's funny that you say that, because I was listening to Solange's last album, and she was like, this shit is for us. Like, you can't have everything. And you saying that just reminded me of that. And I don't know, like, I have this insecurity because I'm mixed, and so therefore, like, I don't have one real identity. And so I have been back and forth depending on what side of my family I'm with at the time. And so when black people come at me in a certain way, I get very nervous, because I'm like, okay, am I not being black enough right now? Am I not black enough to do this or say this or, you know, whatever? I don't even look black half the time to people. So it's weird to have all these emotions that are like associated with being black, but then half the time not being acknowledged as such. So it's me changing the name of it, I guess, is part of that insecurity.
My daughter is biracial, black and white. And one of the funniest fucking people, by the way, you can fucking cuss. By the way, Single Simulcast episode 295. Shantae's not here tonight. She had some, she had to be a good mom. How the fuck dare you? go hang out with your kids instead of doing a podcast. Who the fuck raised you to be responsible? And it's wonderful. She'll be here on Friday. It's no big. She was like, yo, she actually said, yo, can I go hang out with my kids? And I'm like, what the fuck kind of tyrant do you think I am? No. I am joined, just real quick before we get back into this great conversation, I am joined by Jenaya and by Deidre. Jenaya has a show that the title is in flux right now.
In
flux.
We're working through it.
Yeah. We're just going to call it Woke Kidz Podcast, parentheses, Black Kid Magic.
Okay.
and Deidre has a podcast that y'all have heard. She called My DeeTales. Personal favorite. We'll get to that in a second. My daughter is biracial, and she tells me all the time that the difference between her life here and her life with her mom, because we have joint custody of her, is that her mom's side doesn't tend to be as sympathetic to her as her black side is with certain issues, but her black side is less aware of her white side. Like the black side knows the white side, we just don't give a fuck. We all go by the one drop rule, so we don't really
sort of
we don't really censor our thoughts and our words, like when Stephon Clark got killed earlier this year, when Sandra Bland got murdered by the police, when that white woman called 911 for the folks who were cooking in the park in Oakland.
Oh, did you see all that Twitter stuff they've made about her now?
Lord, yeah.
Oh yes.
They've got her image in the corner, and she's calling the police on black people for doing all kinds of normal stuff.
The life that it's giving us is amazing.
I think the official hashtag is Barbecue Becky or Cookout Becky.
Yeah.
That's the official hashtag that everyone's using when memeing this hoe. So like I'm on the other spectrum. Like, I don't know, maybe Saturday and Sunday I got all the life. I was laughing so hard at the memes. Now I'm so sick of her face. Like when I see it, I just get angry. You know what I mean?
You can tell how, she's got on all black sunglasses, long sleeves in the park on a sunny day. Like her mood generally was, I'm about to let somebody know how I feel today. And the black people. And that's why I've said, like, the whole police brutality thing. I feel like these people who beat on, like, vulnerable populations, i.e. persons of color, I feel like they have certain personality traits already, and they target vulnerable people so that they don't have to answer for their actions. So generally, they're abusive tyrants already. And then you see black persons, there's my next target. In addition to obviously being racist.
So this might bother some people, but for me, when I think of people who want to be police officers, that's a red flag for me. And that's just started. I haven't always felt that way, but it's like what in your mindset wants you to be able to enforce the law? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It just seems like...
that hurts my heart. My daughter wants to be a police officer. And today I used it against her. She's 10. She'll be 11 in a couple of weeks. And she's been wanting to be a police officer. And she's been a police officer probably her whole life. She had her two brothers in a corner one time for reasons I don't know. And they listened. They were afraid of her. And so, but today she did something so bad. She threw her cell phone at her brother's head while he was walking away from her after he said something she didn't like. Needless to say, she's no longer a cell phone carrying child. And I said to her, you physically injured your brother when he was walking away from you. Congratulations. You're definitely on your way to being a police officer.
Wow.
And then, like, I don't even know if that was the right thing to say, but to see the indifference when she caused pain to her twin brother and then had no remorse. Like, he cried and she had no remorse. And I was just like, this is my freaking child. Like, what?
That's tough.
Yeah, and she, oh, I want to be a police officer. She was a police officer for, Halloween, and I'm just sitting here like, ugh.
Now,
Yeah.
she after you spoke with her, did her mindset change in regards to the situation? Did she show any remorse?
Her tears didn't appear until I told her that she was no longer allowed to have any screen in her hands for the next 2 weeks, that her phone was confiscated indefinitely, and that she had to do all of her brother's chores for 2 weeks.
Kill shot.
Yeah.
I mean, and this was a moment where I didn't want to physically, like, I didn't want to spank her because the physical altercation was the issue. So I didn't want to answer that with like a spanking.
Yeah, it would have been like a chicken and egg situation, you know. So you hit him, so I'm going to hit you.
Yeah,
While telling you not to hit him. That wouldn't have helped. She seems like the type of child who would have been like, "Yo, why you hitting me when you just told me not to hit him? Give me your phone. Give me your phone." And somewhere along the line, we came back.
And she is that child. She is that one. She will call me out.
You know, which is I'm finding. I am finding after our last episode that we had, where we were talking about the phrase "because I said so" and "do as I do, not as I say." I'm finding that a lot of the folks that I tend to admire their fearlessness in this world, their outspokenness, are the ones who, as kids, were encouraged to dissent. The ones who were their parents had open conversations with them about stuff instead of just closing off conversations with the phrase "because I said so." So your daughter has a foot up in the world as far as that. However, two things. One, the use of the tears to try and get out of a situation. Yeah, that's awesome.
She cried. She knew that she wasn't getting out of it. But when she sat and thought about all of the punishments I laid down, like once I walked out of the room, I heard her crying.
Oh, yeah.
So there was that. I think she had to think about it, sunk in, and then she started to cry, and then she went and laid in her bed and like acted like the world was over. And I was like, get up. You got double chores to do now. Get this stuff done. No,
I don't know how y'all do it with like the tiny humans. I cannot. Like, those jokers are emotional terrorists. Like, oh my goodness,
they are.
I don't have kids, but I work with them, and I consider myself a super auntie. I knew early on. I'm talking like early on, like as a teenager, that I didn't want to have kids, and it's not like one of those. I'm too fabulous to be a mom. Nothing like that. I just know, like, the level of dedication, and to do it the right way, you have to be a certain type of person. And my mom was an amazing mother, but I saw the sacrifices that she did, like, and she gave to make us happy and comfortable. And I just realized that, I don't really want that for me. A different version, but not that version. And so, but yeah, kids are trill as hell, man. They're like, and they know what they're doing. They know.
Oh, yeah, they are scientists. They are freaking scientists. They went through a phase where they would use the phrase "I love you" to try to get things.
Oh yeah.
Like, and I caught on real quick because I'm super emotional. Like, I know all the emotions. You can't manipulate me like that. So I'm just like, oh, I love you, mommy. And I'm like, what do you want? Like, what do you want?
Yeah.
It's coming. They want something. No one just, I love you. Like, kids are not like that. The TV wants you to think that I love you comes spontaneously with all of the, no, that comes at bedtime, in the morning, maybe, and like maybe every once in a while. It doesn't come in the middle of the day just because they're feeling it.
So if I may, I was a preschool teacher. This is one of my favorite preschool stories, talking about kids and what they know and how they pick up on things from their parents. So there was this little kid in my class. His name was Grant. And every time Grant would get in trouble, this is what he would say. I'm sorry, Miss James. I'm sorry. I won't do it again. Let me prove it to you, baby. Let me prove it to you. I'm sorry. Yes.
Baby.
Daddy or his mama's boyfriend say that.
Yes. And we would crack up so hard because he was looking at you like, why are you laughing at me? I mean it, baby. Just let me prove it to you. I'm so sorry. I won't do it again.
That's a cute one, but I'll give you a dark one.
Uh-oh. Okay.
A dark one. I went to domestic violence training because I thought that I was going to save women. Mm-hmm. My mother was the motivation for that. We will leave it there. And I went to domestic violence training. It was like a month of weekends. And by the end of it, I knew that I was too chicken shit to go through with it because I would be crying with those women. One of the stories that really got to me was this woman who said that her moment came when, like, the moment she knew she had to get out. Mm-hmm. And for every woman who is in that situation is different. She had 2 sons. And when her son told her, I'm going to tell daddy to give you a spanking.
Oh, wow.
Because they are used to seeing daddy give mommy a spanking when she's in trouble.
Oh.
Mm.
And she knew at that moment that her children were getting used to a norm that shouldn't be a norm for any child. So, like, kids literally have no guile. Like, they reflect their world as they see it. And so it's sometimes it's cute and sometimes it's scary. Mm-hmm. Like, you know. So, yeah, I'm sorry I took it there.
Oh, no.
I mean, it's real. It's real.
This show isn't a show that's all fun and games. It's a show that is what it is. And a lot of times it is talking about how the manipulation of children's minds starts at a very young age, from something as innocuous as a dad telling their kids when mommy calls them into the front room to have a talk with them all, daddy telling them, don't worry about what your mom says. It's nothing serious.
Oh my God.
You don't have to pay attention to what your mom says. It's no big deal. After your mom does this, we're going to go do this. Or parents trying to compete with one another while married to one another.
Well, let me ask your opinion on something.
Yes, ma'am.
So I was listening to the radio this morning, and I don't know if I should mention their name or not. I don't know if that's a thing, but they do these the Rula and Ryan show.
Okay.
The Rula, whatever you call it, Russ Rula, I don't know. And they're funny most of the time, although I don't know why they have to do the segment about what you're doing at the courthouse, because usually you can tell it's Black people. Mm-hmm. That's another thing. So this woman called in to get their help because apparently Mother's Day was spent all alone. He promised he would get the kids home for Mother's Day. And he said, I'm taking the kids out of town, but I'll have them back in plenty of time. She had plans to go to her mother's house with the kids, but she spent all day waiting for a call or waiting for him to show up. He wouldn't answer any of her calls. Oh. She was calling all day. So she ended up never leaving her home all day because she didn't know when he would come back because he wouldn't answer calls or text messages. And so she didn't spend the day with her mother. She didn't spend the day with her children. And so he wouldn't talk to her, but he answered the phone because it was a different number, and that's how the radio got him. And they were like, do you understand how inconsiderate that was, that you could have at least told her you would have been late or something? And he's like, she's always making it about herself. You know, Mother's Day, what is that? Teaching the kids that they should only honor their mother on that one day. Like, the kids had a great time. You know, we went here, we went there. They had a wonderful time, you know, whatever. Like, he had no idea and no respect for the fact that he told her one thing, and then he completely ignored and disregarded her time for the entire day, and the kids didn't get home until 9 o'clock at night.
See, now that's first of all, that's fucked up.
Yeah.
Second of all, that's emotional abuse.
Yeah.
Third of all, he's holding everybody hostage, and while he's saying this, he's giving this fake idea that he's doing it to show her love. Like every day, we give her respect every day, but you don't even have the respect to honor what you said you were going to do. You don't even have that sort of respect for your significant other, or if she's your ex, your children's mother, or even your children, because your kids want to spend time with their mom, and you know that inherently. It is Mother's Day.
Yeah.
Right.
When every so often every so often, fuck it, every single day Facebook pops up and they're like, remember this? And 9 times out of 10, I'm like, yeah, that was awesome. But every so often it's something that's not. Like when the posts come up around Mother's Day that I liked back in like 2014, 2013, where it was all the love for mothers. I hope the fathers get the same love without people saying that their moms need to get love on Mother's Day too, or on Father's Day too. No, that's not how it works. And when you say that sort of stuff, you sound immature, you sound stunted, and you are encouraging your children to follow in your footsteps. If you make this promise, if you have this relationship with your children's mom, if you don't have this relationship with your children's mom, just let them go with her. You don't have to. What he basically did was made this day about him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He canceled out.
We all had fun with Dad today, didn't we? We had so much fun with Daddy.
That's what he was saying as he dropped him off. Didn't y'all have fun with me? Didn't y'all have a good time with me? Oh, your mom's gonna be she might have a bit of an attitude, but it's okay because y'all had a great time with me, and that's incredibly abusive. Because when they talk to her, they're gonna see the frustration on her face, the honest fear. Like I would have been panicked if I wasn't able to reach my kids all day long, and I'm calling you over and over again, and you're not answering when you told me that you were gonna be here. I'm a worrier. I'm a warrior, but I'm a worrier, and I would be like, yo, are my kids okay? Why isn't somebody answering? And for you to answer from a different line, nigga, we need to go back to court.
Look, my mother did that to me one day. I almost had a panic attack, okay? I was in a relationship. We were living together. He was so panicked by how panicked I was because my mother and I disagreed on something. And I don't remember exactly what it was now. That's how insignificant it probably was. And then she just did the thing. My mom, she did this thing where she just wouldn't answer the phone. And then she did it for hours. And I was calling and I was sobbing, and I was sobbing not out of I was just so angry. Because I had them for a limited period of time. That was when they were all with their dad. And I had them for 2 weeks. And I was like, okay, I guess they can go with you for a couple of days. All I get is 14 days. So yeah, but you definitely got to bring them back when you say you are. And then she extended the time 2 or 3 times, and it was making me real nervous and frustrated. And then she did this thing where she didn't want to answer the phone. I was so irate. And she was like, oh, Jenaya, I just didn't want to talk like that in front of people. I said, Mom, I am not the one. If you have my kids, you have to answer the phone. Do you know that I almost got in the car because she's 3.5 hours away. And my boyfriend is like, do we need to get in the car? Do we need to go somewhere? What's going on? What do we got to do? And I'm just going crazy. You can't cut off access from parent to child. That's not a thing. You cannot do that. My kids, as soon as they got phones, I texted their father their personal phone numbers. Plus, he has the house number that the kids have access to. He's got my number. He knows what school they go to. He knows everything. I treat him how I want him to treat me. I need all access, all information, all the time. I can't imagine you telling me, yeah, I'll have him back in time in the morning, and then all day till 9 o'clock in the night, I'm waiting for my kids. You can't answer the phone? Oh, goodness.
And I think that it also needs to be stated at this point in time that you aren't obligated. You aren't obligated to show your parents respect if they are disrespectful.
Oh no.
Just because of who they are and their place in bringing you into this world, that's where it stops. If they don't show you the respect that is necessary, or show you what you need in order to thrive in this world. And if your mom is disrespecting your wishes, your rules, or whatever you have with your kids, mom got to get checked, and I say that from an experienced place. Like, I've had a situation where, and it wasn't that big of a deal, my mom would quite simply do shit for my kids that she would never do for me. And then when I was like, why are you doing for my kids? She'd be like, because I'm old enough to know that they like this. And then when I'd say, well, I know from my experience that it wasn't the best thing for me to have at this time, she was like, don't talk to them like that. It's like, Mom, I'm not trying to be mean or anything to them. I'm just trying to, I told them that they couldn't have it. And so you're going behind my back and doing this. And it's the same thing as what that woman's ex was doing as far as taking them out on Mother's Day. It's, well, I'm grandma and I got to do these things because I love them but you still got to do it within the framework of that I've built. It's my kids, and I need to have this area, this safe space for them where they can grow and thrive. So, like, if my mom is telling my kids, and this is completely hypothetical, please do not send my mom hate mail for this. If your mom is telling your kids about the gay agenda, or about how, because for some reason black folks have a real problem with LGBTQIA folks. For some reason, like it's through the church, through politics, through whatever reasons, they just aren't there yet. And some of them just ain't going to get there. So when you get around certain aunts and uncles, they going to talk like they going to talk. And if you try and say something to them, they're like, well, this is the way I grew up. Well, I don't want my kids to grow up that way. So if you can refrain from having that conversation around them, otherwise we're going to have a conversation where you're going to get mad at me because I'm going to try my hardest to show you the error of your ways peacefully, kindly, because again, you're an elder and I love you, but you can't do this.
Yeah, my sister had to take up for me one day because we're all together, my two sisters, my brother, my mom, me, all the cousins, and my daughter does something and I can't remember what it is. And then first I say something to her, then she defends herself, then auntie says something, then grandma says something, and everyone, and I suddenly feel like my daughter is kind of being attacked. By all these adults. I don't feel like that many adults needs to be correcting my child at one time. Like, I have no problem with aunties and everyone correcting children, but like all at once is a bit much. So I said, okay. I put my hand up to everybody and I grabbed her to myself and I whispered in her ear what I wanted her to know. And I said, now go sit down with the kids. And then my mom was like, well, I mean, you have a problem with what I said. And I'm like, no, but everyone at once is too much. And I can tell by my daughter's body language that she was feeling embarrassed. And then my little sister says she has the right to decide what she wants her daughter to hear or not hear, and when it's enough. And I knew my sister said that because she feels that about her own daughter. That's my choice. If I decide that it's enough and your correction has reached its limit, then it's my prerogative to say enough and, scale it back.
And we actually need more black parents to do that for our kids. Because a lot of us are still in that mindset of, okay, it takes a village. And it does take a village to an extent to raise a child. But even if it takes a village, I'm still the mayor, nigga.
Yeah.
And if you
Yes.
think you're the mayor, I'm the president, and I'll keep going one above you, you're not going to continue to get on my kids when I say that's enough. You're not
Yeah.
going to talk bad about my kids. You're not going to try and pit my kids against one another. I have some kids who are, I never call them stepchildren. I don't.
They call them bonus kids, I
I
think.
just call them my kids. That's awesome, though. Bonus kids. They've been with us since one was 4 and the other was 6. 3 and 6, actually. They're my kids. You know, 11 years later, they're still here. You know, they're still in my house. They've learned what they've learned from me. They're my kids. My father, their grandfather, refused to acknowledge them and would acknowledge the two that were biological and not the 2 who were my wife's biological children. Always would try and take the 2 who were biological out with him while one of the biologicals was only like 6, 7 months old. He'd come by and try and grab them in the night. Like, I'm taking these kids here. And
Whoa.
we had to end up cutting him off. I haven't spoken to him in years.
Wow.
Because they notice. Why is grandpa being mean to me? Kids are aware of situations. Like, we treat kids like they have a different brain than we have. Like, oh, their brains aren't fully developed. Yeah, but they still have eyes, and they still have a heart, and they still have feelings, and it's there. It fucking works. And the other thing that they noticed was that when grandpa is there, he's really mean to us, and he's mean to mommy. So why is it like that? So bottom line is, my youngest son hasn't seen his grandfather in almost 10 years.
Whoa.
And
That's heavy.
it is, but we have other men in the family who are more than willing. He has another grandfather on his mom's side who's more than willing to step up. It's no big loss. If you're going to have that mindset around my kids, if you're going to try and sow that sort of mindset in my kids, if you're going to try and make them feel in any way insecure, it's no great loss.
Yeah.
If it comes down, honestly, and I know when I say it sounds bad, but if I have my mom and my dad on one side, and I have my kids on the other side, this isn't a selfish choice.
Yeah.
It's not, and it's
No.
actually going to be quite alarming to my parents how quickly I choose my children. Like, who do you my kids? You didn't even let me finish. You didn't let me finish. Let me try again. Okay, if I get my kids. You don't even know what I was going to say that time. Okay, I'm going to try one more time. Which one do you like better, Blizzards or my kids? Fuck you, Rashanii. We're going home. So, you know what? I have one question for you, and then we'll get into, because we haven't even gotten into anything yet. Which is how the show goes. This is how the show generally goes. Like, we talk, and wherever it goes, that's all right. I just want people to get an opportunity to learn from experiences, live experiences, and talk about experiences. We'll talk shit, ill shit, and trill shit here.
Well, I'm currently just grateful for my IUD and distant relatives after all that. Whew.
Or you better be careful with that IUD.
Right. My beloved wife had one, and she actually had to get surgery. It attached to her uterus, her uterine lining.
Yeah, this is my second one, kid free since
I'm all for the kid free. Trust me, nigga. There are times when I would die to be kid free. Like, some of the best days of my life are the ones where I take a day off work because my kids are at school and I don't do nothing. I just sit at home and just chill. But just be careful. That's all I'm asking. Be careful.
Yeah.
Jenaya, question: is your mom white or is your dad white?
My mother is Mexican.
Mexican.
Yeah.
Okey-dokey.
Yeah.
Okie dokie. Now, I like I said, my daughter's mom is white. How is it different having for you, it's all that you know, so it can't really be is it different from having a white parent, because how the fuck would you know? Gosh.
I mean, it's odd, because for one, people are surprised that my parents are Black and Mexican, because Black and Mexican, that's not a normal mix that people are used to, unless they're in Texas. And I've gotten here, and it's actually, I teach English in a high school that is 98% Hispanic, mostly Mexican Hispanic, and then the rest are Black, and then I think we have one Asian kid and a couple of white kids. And I see some interracial relationships as I, observe the kids. But like outside of that, like when I was in North Carolina for 8 years, if I would say what I was, people were like, really? I didn't know Black and Mexican people got along. And it's really surprising, because one of the things that people don't acknowledge a lot with being Black is that being Black is not just a United States thing. Slaves were distributed up and down the coast of the Americas. And so there are Black people who speak Spanish in South America, who speak Portuguese, we are all Black. It's just that we happen to be the Black people who speak English. And the Spanish traded in slaves as well. And my ancestors come from Spain. And there is a racist sort of undercurrent with Hispanic people towards Black people. And I never really understood that, because I always viewed Hispanic people as minorities, because to European, to white people, like everybody who ain't white is a minority. But the Spanish are also European. And so they come with their passed down racisms as well, because they sold slaves in South America. And so that is a surprising thing to people who understand, like the African diaspora and all of the people who traded in African slaves, that it's an odd mix. And so sometimes my mother says racist things and doesn't even realize it. But then at the same time, she also doesn't like Mexican people, and that's why all of her kids are Black. So it is a very odd dynamic. But I have noticed racism coming off of Mexican people towards Black people. Black people is a popular hate to have, no matter no matter what language you speak. I mean, I remember seeing in Brazil, they have a beauty queen, a samba queen. I forget the proper name for her. And for the very first time a few years ago, they had a dark skinned woman win the contest. Really chocolate, beautiful woman. And she got so much hate from both Black and white Brazilians that they took her title from her and replaced her with a light-skinned woman. God. Yes. And so me being a light-skinned woman, there is this awkwardness, because I was bullied and jumped by dark-skinned girls as a little girl. And so I've always been a little afraid of darker skinned girls because of the hatred that I've always gotten. And then I give birth to a chocolate daughter. And so there's so much mixed up weirdness, because then my daughter looks at me with her dark skin and her 4C hair, and she's like, Mom, you're Mexican? So does that mean that I'm Mexican too? And I'm like, yeah, baby, a little bit, all of these ethnicities. And it's a lot of stuff. It's a lot.
Yeah.
But to Black people, when I lived with my father and his wife, because I'm the side chick's daughter. Okay. I just put it like that. When I went to live with my dad and his wife, and I wanted to go for a Latina magazine, she said, "You are Black. You are not Latina."
Mm.
And so
no giving.
No.
On, you're a little bit of both. It was just one way or the other.
She told me, your daddy is Black. You are Black. That is it.
It's not for her to decide, though.
I just wanted to look at the magazine to decide what Latina women were like. I wasn't spending time with Latina women. I didn't even know what the word meant. I just knew that my mom spoke Spanish, so maybe I could read that magazine. And she saw me reach for it, and that was the talk she gave me. And she's Creole. So it just, people have weird identity issues.
It's a big old mess.
Like,
yes.
Like, I realize you're telling me that I'm not white, but I just wanted to read highlights for children. I don't really understand why that triggered. Like, can I read? Can a nigga read real quick? Can I read or should I read you? Which one of these two things is going
Exactly.
to happen? Because here's a pic. You were probably too young to be able to say this and still in the mindset of respecting adults, but here's the picture of my mama. What does she look like? So that's half of me right there, respected. And I never once have told my daughter that she was anything other than black and white. She's able to make her own decisions as she gets older and she sees how the world treats her.
Mm-hmm.
But her mom is white. There's literally no denying that. Her mom is white. Her grandmother, her whole side of the family, they're all fucking cops. Well, they're not cops, but they're COs, which to me is
What is it? What CO? What do you mean?
correctional officers.
Correctional officer. Okay.
Yeah, they're same boat. So
Yeah.
it's like I'm not gonna tell you what you aren't. And that's not fair to anyone who's not you to tell you what you aren't, to try and shape you into what they want you to be, because you can't make a square a circle.
Well, and here's the thing. The thing is that kids look at it better than we do. Because when my daughter first interacted with race, because my boys look more like my complexion, my daughter is darker than all of us. She's darker than her father. She's darker than me. She's darker than her brothers. My father and my ex-husband's fathers are both chocolate dark-skinned men. So like the color skipped us and landed in our daughter. And so my daughter is looking around like, why do I look different than everybody? And then one day in school, someone says, "You're black." And I don't know what prompted that statement toward her, but some little white kid told her that she was black. And then she was like, "No, I'm not." And then she looks at her arm and she's like, "I'm brown." And she doesn't understand at this time what he means by "you're black." Because we hadn't even had that talk with her. Like, we were just living our lives. Like, we hadn't talked about ethnicity. And so she said, "Mommy, someone told me in class that I was black." And I was like, "What came with that?" Like, I wanted to know what else was in the conversation. And she was
Exactly.
like, he pointed at my arm and he was like, "You're black." And I told him that he's wrong because I'm brown. And why did he call me black, Mommy? And I said, well, black is like an abbreviation for being African American. Our ancestors are from Africa. So instead of saying African American, we say black. And she's like, "But I'm not African American, Mom. I'm human being." And I said, "Oh my God." I said, "You're right." But I'm telling you how our society works. And I hate to take that from her.
Yeah, I never thought I would say this. I'm going to quote Halle Berry's mom. I remember this interview that she gave like around 2003, talking about, because she was raised by her white mother. And her mother sat her down and told her, like, "Yes, I'm your mom. Yes, I'm white. But when you walk outside, you're going to be viewed as a black woman."
Yeah.
You're going to be viewed as a black woman, and you have to prepare yourself for what that's going to be like right now.
Yeah.
Because the world isn't going to give you an opportunity to learn from them. You're going to end up being the lessons to other people.
That's the guns talk for me. I mean, my kids were at the pool the other day, and this little boy decides to be generous and give his water gun to my kids because he was leaving, but they were staying. So he's like, gives it to my daughter. "Here, you can have the water gun." And so we're leaving the pool, and I'm like, where you get that from? It's like a bright green and orange water gun. And I'm like, where did you get that from? But the boy, he gave it to me. And I said, "Give it here." And I'm carrying it on the way home because I'm trying to think, do I want to let them have the water gun or not? It's only going to happen in the pool, blah, 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 And then the closer we get, I said, "Do you guys know why I have a problem with this gun, with this toy?" And Gabriel says, "I know, Mom, I know." And Abigail's like, "I don't know, Mom. I just wanted to have a water gun." And then I said, "Gabriel, why do you think?" He was like, "Because we're black and white people are scared."
Whoa.
Yeah.
And I said, "Exactly." And I said, children have been killed by grown man police officers because they had toy guns in their hand. And I don't want that to happen to you. And it's not fair and it's not right. But that is how it is. And you should have said, no, thank you. And I threw the gun in the trash.
And
I don't know how else I could have responded to that.
Well, they're really, there's really no good way to explain, or there's really no foolproof way to explain to a kid who doesn't see the issue that there's an issue. You know, so the way
they feel it. My son, when he was 9, had a dream that a police officer assaulted him. When he was 9.
What?
He had a dream, and he woke up and he was shook. And he said, Mommy, I had a dream that a policeman pointed a gun at me. And that was when I had to talk with him. And I was dating a white man, but he's super open and awake to his privilege. And so it worked. But I sat there and, like, at the verge of tears, I'm explaining to my child whatever I think it is that he needs to know, while in the back of my mind knowing that nothing that I say matters, because Black people have been killed at every step of interaction with police. Every step, from first contact all the way to being in a jail cell. You have no idea when or how your life might end in the custody of police. But I tell my son, be respectful. Don't talk too much. Do what the police officer says. Don't move too fast. Yes, sir. No, sir. Give him whatever he asks for. Keep your hands up. Keep your fingers open. And I'm telling him this because I've seen video of police approaching 9 and 10-year-old boys on the street who are just friggin' playing. So that's where their mother was nowhere around to protect them. And so I'm telling this to my son because in his spirit, he feels it. And he had a dream.
Question.
And
a quick question.
Yep.
When you told him all those things, did you close it off by saying, and sometimes they'll still kill you? Because that's the full story. Like, you can do everything right.
What I told him was that people are treated unfairly every day. Mm-hmm. And that police officers have killed people and gotten away with it. They have the power to do whatever they want. And all you can do is what you're supposed to do. Like that's all you can do is what you're supposed to do. And things can still go bad. You know, but like I don't. And then I have one of my very good friends, a Black man. We talk on the phone a lot. He lives in another state. And he tells me, don't bring it up. He says, Jenaya, they'll learn. Don't bombard them with these messages. And he's a Black man. And so I'm like, mm-hmm. Okay, so what do I mean? I feel like his word is, you know, to be respected, I suppose. But if I don't prepare them, you know, I don't know. And that's the thing. You can't prepare them. And no, I didn't outright say you could still be shot. Because then I don't know. It's like this fear I'm giving him in his backpack on the way to school in the morning. So it's very scary because, like, as the mother of Black children, you have to take their innocence away.
Yeah.
A little at a time, you have to take it away.
It's so sad.
My youngest son, I will never forget when he looked at me with those big brown eyes, like, and asked me why somebody died over cigarettes.
Oh my God.
And we had to have that talk. And then we had another talk about Stefan when because we're here in Sacramento, where they're protesting and there's cops outside with these AR-15s, and he's like, Dad, why, what's going on, and we talked about we talked about Sandra. We talk, and it's not to deaden them to the potential that this can happen. It's to make them aware that it, in your lifetime, it will happen. When we were kids, we were told about driving while black. That was a big thing. Our friends got pulled over and it was, yo, I was DWB, and we'd all laugh while they were playing dominoes and never really knew what they were talking about. It was just almost a rite of passage in our neighborhood for DWB. Oh yes, so and so had a nice little 5.0 and got DWB. They got pulled over, but they're okay. And now it's yo, so and so was here and was idling their car in front of a 7-Eleven and got hemmed up by the police. How exactly do you explain that to a kid?
Shot in the head, in the back of the head, driving away. Shot in the back, running away.
How do you explain that to your kids? You know, like
shot with your hands straight up in full view of cameras. Like a little child, a boy who looks very much like my oldest son, Tamir Rice.
Mm-hmm.
His sweet little face. Oh my God. Ugh.
And so it's not about innocence lost to me. It's about experience gained. It's the same way that at a very young age we talked with our kids about sex and drugs, and we were like, you're not going to understand all of this right now. We're okay with that, but we need you to know right now.
Okay. I'm sorry, guys.
You're okay. About your privacy and about your body and everything. We need you to know that now, because as we get older and the veil was lifted from our eyes at a late age, we see that there's evil out there no matter what. Mm-hmm. We have to make you aware of the evil. If we don't make you aware of the evil and the evils out there, then we're not doing our jobs. Not just as parents, but as just humans, as citizens.
Right. Because we do owe that. We do. I mean, I don't think you should feel like obligated, but personally, I do. I feel obligated to reach out to people, to look out for someone else. You know, like I saw a car being pulled over the other day, and the car had black people in it. I just rolled up behind, like, just in case. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, I feel like I have to get involved in some way just to let them know I see you, I understand, I feel it. You're not alone in this, you know? And I think the more we do that, the easier it gets for us to maneuver those situations. I mean, most of the time there'd be situations anyway, but I can only imagine it helped knowing that someone was there looking and, you know, creating receipts, if you will, in case something did happen.
Yeah. It's just a shame.
That's the best way to put it. But
I know that, it just makes me think of, like, the first time I knew that I was black and a woman. You know, like, you go through your life and you know, yeah, I'm black, yeah, I'm a woman, whatever. And we know about sexism and we know about racism. But, like, the moment when it hit me, like, it made me cry. Mm. And I just wonder about those moments, you know, for my kids. Like, no one could prepare me for that fully. Like, all my dad could ever say to me as a black man was, you guys don't pay attention. You guys don't pay attention. People are saying things to you all the time and you're not hearing them. You know, we went to visit my dad's old home, and in Minden, Louisiana, this just backwoods place, a mile of trees before we got to their little home. And I'm like, Dad, you grew up in the 50s. How did you guys walk this? I'm scared to walk this right now. And he's like, we looked out for each other. We had to know what was going on around us, you know? And I was reading this book, and I can't remember what it's called, but she introduced the concept of the tilted room, where Black women are judged crookedly, and we, in an attempt to feel like we're standing up straight, we tilt ourselves with the crooked room. So we take on these stereotypes that are attributed to us, but that don't really define us, but we allow them to because we're trying to make sense of our lives and make sense of who we are. And I just remembered being in the military, and I had my first child, and he was very sickly in the beginning. And it was very scary for me because my mother was nowhere around, and I was the only one taking care of him because my husband was always far away on his job. And so they started to get on me, like as if I was trying to skip my duties on purpose. And I remember this woman who had just given birth to a baby less than 3 months before hassling me about my absences. And I just wondered, how come she couldn't understand that I had a sick child? I was like, maybe the superiors are making her talk to me. Maybe the insensitive men are making her talk to me. She's a white woman. And she's like, well, my parents fly in from wherever the hell in order to help me. I said, my mom's poor, ma'am. My mom can't fly to Maryland from California. Well, you don't have family closer? I'm like, yeah,
No.
but this is my son. Like, he's my responsibility. I'm not going to be calling family members from other states to fly in every 9 days so that you guys get your full duty from me. Like, I couldn't understand. And at the time, I was like maybe 20, 21, 22 years old. And then like fast forward to like I'm 29 or 30 and I'm reading this book and it hit me. It wasn't just that I was a woman. It's that I was a Black woman. They didn't trust me. They didn't trust me. They didn't trust that I was being a mother. They thought that I was making excuses. Throughout my entire pregnancy, the military has a 32-week rule. Once you hit 32 weeks, you can't spend more than 8 hours on the job. From the time you drive onto the base to the time you drive off, 8 hours only. It's for the safety of the mother and the child. Well, they reversed that on me. Instead of it being for my safety, they made sure I worked at least 8 hours. The one day that I got sick and I told my supervisor I was ill, I had thrown up multiple times that day, I wasn't allowed to leave. They told me that pregnancy is a condition, not an illness, and we will treat it as such. I never got a day off. I got super swollen. Like it was, I know no one ever had helped me carry a goddamn thing. Like it was just, I was being punished because I must have gotten pregnant because I just didn't want to work. So we're going to make sure that you work throughout this entire time that you have done this. And it was freaking miserable. That's why I was only in the Navy for 5 years, because I got treated like shit. And
only 5 years. Ooh, that's a stretch.
At the end, I was like, do I renew my contract or do I be a mother? Because apparently I can't be both. So I was like, I have to leave this. And yeah, that's what it was. You know, when you realize that sexism sometimes is disguised, or racism disguised as sexism, it's just like, it's all wrapped up in you're Black, so you're not trustworthy. And so that's why it's crazy to me when people act like mixed people are not a part. Don't nobody care how light my skin is. Nobody cares how loose my curl is. Like, when they see me, they see you, they see all of us. And it's just as frustrating.
We'll be right back. This single simulcast.
Hey everybody, this is Gerald Jones from the Buy Black podcast, and you're listening to Single Simulcast. I've been drinking a whole bottle of wine through this episode. This is the first podcast I've been on where I've been allowed to drink, and I'm loving it. Y'all keep listening.
This is Ray, a.k.a. Black Show Bob, and you're Listen to Single Simulcast.
This is the Black David Hasselhoff on the Midnight Storm, and you are now tuned in to Single Simulcast.
You're listening to Single Simulcast with Rashanii and my mom, Shante Fabulous.
I'm a product my own decisions.
You're right. You're a product of your own decisions. This is Single Simulcast.
I don't know what you do with your life when you're not listening to the podcast, but what you need to do is listen to Single Simulcast. What you listen to right now. And play it again. And again.
That was simply sensational. Single Simulcast will surely surface speedily. Bitches.
Hi, this is your man Jeremy from the Crown and Collars podcast, and you are listening to Single Simulcast with my man Rashanii and Shante Fabulous, your favorite podcaster's favorite podcaster. And I'm your favorite podcaster, so that should be your favorite podcaster, because I'm your fave, and your fave's fave. Check them out on Single Simulcast, and check out Crown and Collars, found wherever you can find great podcasts and the CSPN network.
Single Simulcast wants your reviews. Leave a review on Apple Podcasts, Google Music, or wherever you listen to us. Tag Single Simulcast with the screenshot of your review on Facebook, or use the hashtag SSCast on Twitter. Enjoy the rest of the show.
Hey. I know you're probably wondering who I am. Well, my name is Joy, and I'm the host of Fresh Out the Cocoon, a podcast that gets real about being black and being fabulous all at the same damn time. Trust, you don't want to miss the things that are discussed on this show. So join me every other Sunday as I release new episodes. I'm currently on SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play, Spreaker, and TuneIn Radio.
Shit, I'm tired. It'll always be this way. It is. When you yawn, that's how Anita Baker did that. You just yawn your way through shit.
Fucking told you, son. I love Anita Baker, but you are correct, sir.
From beginning to end, 365 days of the year, I want the sun.
You know what? I'm rock for this one.
All I want to do is take a nap with you.
That's, yeah.
And they
caught up in the
see? Sounds just like
I never noticed it till just now.
I mean, at least she sounded like she was really going to sleep, other than putting you to fucking sleep like Nora Jones. Son, if you can't sleep, two albums. That Nora Jones' first album put you right the fuck out.
That's my cousin.
It's so like boring, no.
Yeah.
Oh, that's terrible.
I'm gonna tell you the best album to go to sleep on is Boyz II Men Evolution, dog. And yo, for real, if I can't sleep, if I have like straight insomnia and there is no way I think I'm going to sleep right now, put on that album, I am gone. I don't know what it is about that album. I am out of here, dog.
You'll always be this way. So sweet. So sweet.
Oh shit!
Oh,
but I can't talk too much shit about Anita Baker. My mom, when she was alive, she loved Anita Baker and Patti LaBelle, son.
Anita's the shit.
Yeah, like I'm sure dissing her, but I still will listen to that song.
Oh yeah, I'll listen to it all the day long. But it also helps that she's the only woman from that era who's still relatively attractive.
True.
Come on, son. Patti LaBelle, dog. She got ass, son.
That's because she eating all that mama's fried chicken. All she eat is soul food. She gonna be a diabetes victim.
I need to find that shit. Did anybody? Am I the only person on earth that remembers that award show where Patti LaBelle was singing and they gave her the Lifetime Achievement Award or some shit like that? And she was singing a song, and she just took the mic away and sung out loud to the fucking crowd. And it was
I don't remember that at all.
It was the most amazing shit I've ever seen in my life, and I have never seen that shit again.
Nope.
She was probably yawning one day in the studio, so I was like, hold on. Yeah, just like that. Just keep doing that. That's perfect.
Oh, that was great. How'd you hit that note? I'm not sure. No, that wasn't it. Maybe if I hold my nose. No, that's not it either. Will you tell him to stop yawning when he yawns? That's it.
Eureka!
I just found it.
Eureka! That's it.
The Dream Team is here.
Are you interested in supporting this Black podcast? Awesome! Become a Patreon member at www.patreon.com/singlesimulcast. And for $5, you'll be able to chat with the hosts during our monthly Q and Awesome session. You can also support the show via our Teespring store at teespring.com/stores/single-simulcast and get a shirt or a mug. You also have the option to put a little something in our cup at paypal.me/single-simulcast.
Who Raised You podcast is a kitchen table conversation between Karen, Jolyon Yang, and
Treasure Shields Redmond.
As we explore how culture, family, and intersecting identities pave our way toward liberation, we want to know, who raised you? We're curious and sometimes a bit irritated. Sit down, we have lots to talk about.
Single Simulcast episode 295. Again, Shantae's not able to be here, but I am here with Deidre, and I am also here with Jenaya. And Deidre, tell everybody a little bit about your show. Tell them something about yourself. The floor is yours.
All right. Ooh, the floor. I like it. Well, my name is Deidre James. I host the DeeTales podcast, and it's spelled interesting. It's my name, Deidre, DeeTales, and the show is all about being able to tell stories from a unique perspective. Now that podcasting is a bigger thing, there's so many voices, but at the time when I started, there weren't a lot of Black women podcasters. So I kind of created it for us to tell our stories. We love to talk about current events. I am a jokester at heart, so I try my best to keep my audience entertained with laughs, but we also are socially conscious and pay attention to what's going on in the world, and hopefully try to affect change through conversation and action. And action can be made even if you're not physically in the location. So we look for ways to do things that can benefit multiple communities from all across the world, even though I'm in North Carolina. So that's DeeTales. And I'm the biggest Beyonce fan. Like, yeah, it's ridiculous.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Have you ever thought about on your show, when you say the title of the show, you follow it up by saying, woohoo?
Like DuckTales?
Yeah.
I think I did like a long time ago, and like the young bucks didn't understand what I was talking about.
Fuck
I was
them.
like, oh.
Fuck them young
I know. Them youngins, breath smelling like Similac. They don't know what's going on.
Right. They don't need to know. They'll learn. Like, I have a podcast called Storytellers. And the quick plug, the Twitter handle for Storytellers is Storytailspin. OEO. So I ended off by saying OEO because it's spelled just like Tailspin was the cartoon of the 90s. But yeah, nah, you it's too close to the edge. You got to push it over and give it that good woo-hoo.
I'll do it. I'll do it for you.
I appreciate that because
anything for you,
especially living where you're at. Life is like a hurricane in North Carolina.
God, we just had a tornado. Right. We have the worst pollen. So there's a meat tick.
Wait, what?
That is, a meat tick. There is a tick in North Carolina that is, if you're bitten by it, it puts this protein in your blood. It's called like alpha-gal. And the alpha-gal protein makes your body intolerant to red meat and some pork.
No. No, is it curable?
No, it's not.
Kill me.
I know. And so our executive of agriculture for the state, he was bitten by the meat tick. Like, this is not like some, I heard it through the grapevine type situation. No, our agricultural commissioner was bitten by the tick. He's suffering through it. He cannot digest red meat or pork. And it's happening more and more. The tick, it is, I don't know the name of it, but it has a yellow dot on it. And if that mug bites you and gets into you, there's the meat tick.
I swear to God, if y'all let that motherfucker out in North Carolina, I swear to God, if it comes to California, I'll be so. How the fuck? All y'all got out there is barbecue. How y'all?
I know.
Y'all need to work harder. Kill that motherfucker now. Look, the nuclear option is okay with me. Drop the bomb.
I'm cool with that. I'm ready to move anyway.
If I can't get a ribeye, y'all gonna hear me.
Listen. So apparently a woman from DC has it. So we're thinking she's patient 0. And she got it down here somehow.
Look. So y'all got this mutant tick that's just walking around stopping y'all shine because ain't no such thing as chicken ribs. I don't know if y'all know this or not. Like they're tiny and it doesn't work right and it's just stealing your joy. This tick is a menace, and y'all need to just go ahead and do whatever you need to do to make sure that y'all eradicate this tick before it makes it out of North Carolina, because I will fucking burn North Carolina to the ground to protect my rights to eat red meat. I don't give a fuck.
Hey, I'm with you. I am with you. I'm gonna throw this out there. Out of all the meat tick cases, I ain't seen one person of color bitten by the meat tick.
Yes. Stay woke. Attack
there you go.
People. Look, you can't even call it the meat tick anymore. Just call it the seasoning bug. If y'all don't use seasoning right, they just gonna take you out the game. Like, nah, we gonna have this for the black folks. This for the culture. We'll call it the culture. Yeah. Which is good. I mean, it is good that there's a culture tick that is attacking white people in North Carolina. Y'all white people have been biting off our culture for years. So,
right?
What the fuck? I'm just saying that if I accidentally land in North Carolina and I just have to die. They'd be like, that nigga died with a rib in his mouth, with a smile on his face, and a middle finger up. Because
it is not hit a person of color. All the cases have been traced to Caucasians. And so, like, yesterday, I had a minor procedure, and I was in the hospital, and one of my friends came up to visit me, and she's a white woman, and she lives, like, out in the woods. Like, she's like a country girl. And her son called her, and he was like, Mom, the meat tick got me. And I'm like, am I still under anesthesia? Like, are the drugs still in my system? Because he FaceTimed her. I'm like, what the hell is he talking about? She's like, the meat tick. I'm like, what the fuck is the meat tick? And then we started doing Googles. And her son is on the phone sobbing. It got me, Mommy. It got me. I'm not going to be able to eat red meat anymore. And she's like, well, she's like, I'm here. I can't do anything about it. I doubt that you were bitten by the tick. You probably just had a spider on you. So that was my introduction to it. Because I've been here my whole black ass life. Okay, I ain't never heard of no meat tick. And all of a sudden, yep,
this is my
white
first
folk.
time right now.
Exactly. This sounds like this. Finally, I've been waiting so many years to say this. This sounds like something that was created in a laboratory to kill white like how they said that AIDS was, that was created to kill black folks. Like, why the fuck you think black folks are going to be the ones to get, you know what, fuck that. I'm staying away from it. But I am quite all right with a tick going and taking out the people who are stopping these restaurants from seasoning all of their food because some people don't like seasoning. I've had this question for a couple of days now because I made for Mother's Day, I made two things. I made a crab and brie stuffed salmon, and then I made a tilapia over brown rice with a crab and shrimp white wine cream sauce.
Look at you.
Yeah, it's.
I don't even know what he just said.
You're like, what?
You better listen, if them ticks get you, it's gonna be the only thing you're gonna be able to eat is fish. But I'm reading reviews online, and all of these white folks are saying, I tried your recipe, which the recipe that I got for the tilapia turned out excellently. These white folks are on there like, I tried your recipe and I didn't feel like there was enough salt in it. Who the fuck? Look, who reads the recipe when it comes to the salt? People are really saying, I'm going to put half a teaspoon of salt into this.
A pinch.
Hey, I'm
going to put a pinch of salt.
Because that's what it says in the recipe. Who the fuck listens to that part? I will read every other part line for line.
I emotionally salt.
Okay.
When I feel like it's enough, then that's when I stop.
I'll tell you when I've had enough. God damn it. So
exactly.
I'm looking at these people like, wait, y'all really listen to the recipe when it said only put in a pinch of salt? And you know, you can tell when enough white people have left a bad review about a recipe because it'll say, and I am saying a direct quote, for the recipe, when it says salt and pepper, it'll say season to taste.
Oh, Lord.
Because they don't know that you can season the taste. I'm going to stick to the rules on this one. Just going to go by the book. And oh my God, this doesn't taste like anything. It tastes just like the way Mom makes it. But details. Woo-hoo. I have questions.
Okay. Is it about the meat tick?
No, I am.
I got my Google up. I'm ready.
It's heading north too. This is on June 26, 2017. It was heading north from. Fuck y'all.
It's not new. Exactly. Like, it's not a new thing. It's just new to me because I don't fuck around in the country and with ticks and stuff.
Don't ticks be in the woods. I heard rumors. I don't go in the woods. I don't go in.
The last time I had any inkling of thinking about a tick was when I was in the military doing training with the Marines, and they would warn us about ticks when we would go out on field ops. And because they get you, ticks or chiggers. Chiggers are worse.
Yeah.
But ticks are just ugly looking as they're sticking out of somebody's skin. I never got one, so I was glad. But I've seen one girl had she had like a belt of them. Like, I guess they got her all around her waistband. And someone's got to help you get them out, because if you mess up and leave their head in there, they can infect you. So you got to pull them out just right so that you get the whole tick when you pulling them out of somebody. So it's just the most disgusting thing. It's so gross, the concept of like a foreign living thing digging itself inside me. Ugh.
Let's not keep talking about kids.
That's
now.
Too much. That's too much.
We ain't gonna keep talking bad about kids like that. We talking about kids right now. See. I'm sorry. I am just blatantly aware of the fact that if I got bit by a tick or a chigger or a flea or anything like that, I was somewhere I wasn't supposed to be, and I understand the risk of me going outside is I can be killed at any given moment, and I'm just going to add that to the list of things that I don't want to see in my face. Cops,
not going to go outside.
The list ain't going to get that much longer. Caillou. I don't want to see any baby that look like Caillou in my face because I have PTSD. That little white boy was an evil, and he can get it. So meat ticks, Caillou, cops, white people with cell phones.
Oh my God.
Ooh. Them people who come up to you from like Kirby Vacuum and just want you to let them in your house so they can shampoo your carpet real quick and tell you about the Lord. Those are the top 5 people that I run into when I go outside. So I don't go outside anymore. Fuck them. Fuck that. Fuck no.
Yes.
I have a
Stay
friend
inside is
who
better, safer. Stay inside.
My friend I mentioned earlier, he said to me one time he let the Kirby guy come in, clean and come in and clean a little patch, and then for sales, like they'll let you borrow the thing. Mm-hmm. So he said, I borrowed that thing and I cleaned everything in my house. And then when he came back, I said, I don't need it.
See, now that's a new style to let them borrow it, because I used to work for Kirby, and our style wasn't to let them borrow shit. Our style was to go into the room. We would vacuum their front room or wherever there was carpet. At the first place we see carpet, we're vacuuming that room. And then after you vacuum that room, you lead them into their bedroom, which is in no way creepy. Absolute saying, let me show you something in your bedroom. Hey, let me show you this real quick. Where's your bedroom at? Nah, get the fuck out.
You say it like that, yeah, that's creepy.
So we will lead them to their bedroom. And then once we got to the bedroom, we would, yeah. Hey, while talking to them, while making idle conversation, about sports or whatever. Should I start from the beginning? I'll start from the beginning. No, I won't. I'll just, long story short, I didn't come back after this, long story short. But what you're supposed to do is you peel back the blankets on their bed while you look at them. And you peel back the top cover sheet. And then you peel back the second sheet while they're looking at you like, that's the fitted sheet, nigga. You pulling back a little bit too much on what you're doing in my bed anyway. And then you lay down 8 of these coffee filters on their bed. And then you open up the receptacle for the vacuum cleaner, and you take out the actual bag, the vacuum bag, and you proceed to pour all the trash that you just vacuumed off of their floor onto these coffee filters on their bed.
What?
And you tell them about how you just vacuumed up a bunch of dead bed bugs. And now they're on their bed. And they could be sleeping on dead skin and bed bugs every night unless they use this.
So you're going to take dirt from one place and put it in another place as a tactic?
For it. Yes. And say that unless you get the Kirby vacuum and vacuum your bed with this 50,000-pound vacuum cleaner, they're going to have this in their bed all the time. And then you leave. And you just leave this sitting on their bed. That was their style back in 2000.
That is doing the most.
That I would probably be like, what the fuck are you doing? Like when the Kirby guy came to my place, he came in, he made one square of my living room super clean just so that I could see how dirty it looked everywhere else, and then left. And I was like, well, damn.
Fucked up too. I mean, first of all, Kirby has you walking in a neighborhood that is probably already got vacuum cleaners. So you already got a hard sell because you're trying to sell somebody something that they don't need and they don't want, and you're selling it to them at a price. Them motherfuckers cost $1,500. So, it's not an easy sell. You got to do some sort of a guerrilla tactic type shit. Like,
I'm a Dyson lady. I'll get a Dyson.
I got a Shark. Shark costs $100 and it's wonderful. That's all I need. Somebody came by my house a couple of weeks ago, was like, hey, can I come in your house? I was like, you're going to ask if you can shampoo my carpet, ain't you? I got hardwood floors. Here's a bottle of ice water. No. You can't come in. You can't come in. No. Okay, well, if I don't come in, then I'm not going to get my count. I'm sorry for your job. You can't.
You know what? Honestly, men, normally I say personality is not gender specific, but I have never seen any woman do that as well as a man. Like my friend that I talked to on the phone, my ex-husband, my ex-husband, we'd be walking in the mall, and you know how the people in the middle kiosk will like dip out in front of you and be like, hey, buy this.
They're so aggressive.
He would listen intently, respectfully to their whole spiel for like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and then say, no, thank you, and keep walking. I'm like, why you waste their time? Why did you do that? You knew you wasn't going to buy anything. He was like, well, I wanted to learn. Maybe I would have wanted to buy it. I'm like, you knew you wasn't buying nothing.
Yeah,
I'm nervous around salespeople. I can't. I make sure I look the other way. They could tell, don't come talk to me. Don't.
No, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Listen to them motherfuckers. I will listen to a salesperson. I will listen to your whole spiel. Everything. Whether we're at a restaurant, we're at the kids standing outside the Walmart, newspaper salesmen, the people in the mall who want to thread your eyebrows, the person who's trying to sell that cool flying drone in the middle of the mall who's not even looking straight up. All of them motherfuckers, I will sit there and listen to them, and my wife knows. Okay,
hey, you not buying nothing.
I ain't buying shit. But I will listen intently to every single word you say, and then tell you, here's what you could have done better. It is the closest thing I get to being a white man, where I'm able to tell you, yo, let me tell you how to fix your pitch. Let me pump you up. And so I'll be like, yo, you didn't even try and upsell me. You didn't tell me about this. You didn't tell me about this. What you should have done is mention this. Folks out here are sportsmen. You should have mentioned the sports. Folks out here tend to be blood, so you should have had a red drone out here instead of that blue shit. Look, you didn't even try and tell me about the Lord. Like, you out here telling me, you muttering about the Bible. You a Jehovah's Witness. You should have said something about the Lord. Oh, well, let me try again. No, I'm good. Click. I will talk to a telemarketer until they want to get off the phone. Like, is that how you ask everybody? Is that the approach you get to everybody? You could do much better than that. Try again, but not here. Click.
Ooh, I just go to do not disturb. I don't have any time or
I block them. Yeah,
breath for them.
I'll let them
no,
in.
Thank you.
I'll let them in. They don't come back. I'll let you in once. Speaking of trying to sell me something, I'm just kidding. Horrible segue. Feel bad, but not really. You got a book, Jenaya.
Yep, I do.
Tell me about it. I'm not going to judge you. I swear to God. I only do that for telemarketers and when I'm really bored. So tell me about the Boss Co-Parenting Framework.
It is something that I wrote a while ago, and it just took me a long time to be confident enough to like publish it. So I got divorced in 2009, and we started out like the typical ratchet relationship. Like, we didn't like each other. We were not accommodating toward each other. And slowly over time, I made certain changes because I knew that I wanted to have a civilized relationship with him, because I felt like the only way that our kids could be happy is if we had a good relationship. And being born into like the weirdness that I was born into, I know exactly how hurtful it is when your parents don't get along. Like, you know, my mom would call my dad's house and just talk to my stepmother like she was crazy. My stepmother would talk about my mother like she was crazy. Like, I couldn't even tell my mother things because then she would call that house being crazy, and then that would fall back on me. So I didn't want my kids to go through that. So these are just kind of things that I learned, and I was able to put everything I learned into like this acronym for co-parent. And it's a very short, it's almost like just a pamphlet, you know, it's not like a really long book. It's like 50 pages. And I don't know how deep you want me to get into it. Like,
deeper than Atlantis.
Okay, so co-parent, you have COPARENT. And so the C stands for compartmentalize. And that's the first actual chapter. And compartmentalize just means that after you get out of a romantic relationship with someone, you have to switch gears. You can no longer communicate with them like the angry ex-lover. It has to be parent relationship. Like, you have to put your passion over here, and then you have to, your parent business, that your parent helmet has to be on, basically. So you have to separate the relationships and get your mind right. So compartmentalize means you can't be throwing old relationship stuff into your co-parent's face when you're trying to talk about the kid's business. Like, it needs to be professional. So that's like the compartmentalize. And then optimism, be optimistic. don't always expect the worst. Sometimes when we don't get what we want from the other parent, we tend to go to the negative. So like if I call him and say, you know, can you pick the kids up because I'm going to be late? And he says, no, I can't. I automatically assume he's doing it because he wants to make my life hard or something. And so to just like be optimistic, think, oh, well, he must have something to do already. You know, like try to be positive all the time so that you don't fall into like a negative spiral with that person. And then protect. You have to protect relationships. So you have to protect your relationship with your co-parent as co-parents to the child or children. You have to protect your child's relationship with that parent, and you have to protect your relationship with your child. And then I go into what you're protecting these relationships from. So like you're protecting your child's relationship with the other parent from negativity that might occur when they are with you. So you're not going to talk badly about the other parent in front of your kid. You're not going to allow your family to talk badly about their other parent. You know, you're going to allow them to be happy and express love for the other parent when the other parent is not there. You know, you have to protect the integrity of that relationship. And then you're protecting the integrity of your relationship with the other co-parent by respecting them. And then the same goes for your relationship with a kid. And mainly one of the things that I go into with that is, let's say your kid comes home and says, this happened. Okay, so prime example, my son comes home and says, Miss Day, which was one of my ex-husband's women, she made me go to bed without eating dinner. Okay, trigger. You do not take food out of my kid's mouth. So I'm sitting here like, oh, no, she did not do that. But I know my kids tell me half the story. Okay, so I have to take a deep breath. Yeah. And I call him and I say, you know, Gabriel said something weird and I just wanted to run it by you to see, you know, if you know anything about it, because, you know, I know they always tell half the story. So I just want to know, I want to be sure that this is not really the whole story. You know, I have to lay the positive framework so that he doesn't get defensive immediately when I begin to speak. And he's like, okay, go ahead. What you got? Okay. He says that he was made to go to bed without dinner. All right. And he's like, oh, that doesn't sound normal. I'll check on it. So I say, okay. I don't force him to check on it right away. I don't tell him, no, you're not hanging up on me now. I say, okay. And then I give him the time to check on it. Against every instinct I have, obviously, I have to talk myself through these things. And then he gets back to me. Oh, well, what happened was he got in trouble and he was sent to his room. And it was just before dinner and he fell asleep for the night. He wasn't made to miss dinner, but he missed it because he fell asleep while he was in his room in trouble. So if he had woken up, he would have been more than welcome to eat his dinner. Okay. So and then I say again, Romeo, I just want to make sure that that woman's not doing this on a regular basis. He's like, no, I will make sure that that is not happening. Thank you. Click. Okay. So that's like protecting relationships. You have to have a good relationship with the other parent, and then appreciate the fact that you're not like a legit single parent, like no other parent. Mm-hmm. You know, like you have the other parent in the picture. The kid needs two parents. And so to be appreciative, like sometimes I would feel like, God, I hate him. I wish he would just disappear. It's like, no, you need to appreciate the fact that that person is there and that you have someone to work with and you have someone who would be just as angry as you would be if someone mistreated that child. Like that's a privilege. And then evaluate. So you evaluate your motives. Why am I making this decision? Why am I telling him no, he can't come a little bit later? Why am I telling him whatever I'm telling him? Like, evaluate your motives. Make sure you're not acting in anger, bitterness, or frustration. Evaluate what the other person says to you. Like, think before you speak. Think before you ask. Think before you call. I knew that in the mornings, he was really pissy. Like, he was not in a good mood in the mornings. But the mornings were kind of the best time for me. But okay, fine. It's the best time for me, but it's not the best time for him. So when should I call? Like, always have like a mind of evaluating the situation to make sure that you are doing it in the best light. And then nix the nosiness. Oftentimes after you separate from someone and you think that you still have the right to tell them what they should and should not be doing when you're not around. You don't have that right. Like, it's none of your business what they're doing, even when the kid is there. Like, honestly, as long as you don't have a fear that your child is in any danger, as long as you don't fear that your child isn't being fed, as long as you don't fear that your child is being, their character isn't being attacked in any way, verbal abuse, as long as you are confident that that parent has the best interest in mind, it's none of your business that grandma babysits them all day because he works long hours. It's none of your business that maybe even the girlfriend babysits. Like, it only becomes your business, let's say, when my son comes home with a bruise on his thigh and he tells me that the girlfriend gave him a spanking, then it becomes my business.
You're right.
So I can't be telling him, well, why should you have them? Your mom is the one who's spending all the time with them. I'm sorry, that's none of your business. And as women, we do take so much ownership over our kids that we feel like we have that prerogative, and we actually don't. And you have to allow the other parent to become who they will become now that you guys are no longer living together. And then teamwork. Like, the quality of life of a child increases so much when their parents are working together. Like, if I want to do a summer camp, or if I want to buy my kids something, or like the kids want my son wanted a hoverboard. Call his dad. This thing costs over $200. Like, can you float me $100 so that I can comfortably get this toy for our son? Like, working as a team. Or he's the disciplinarian. I live in Texas. He lives in North Carolina. These kids are afraid of him from Texas. Okay. Yes, I don't know how he does it. But when I am pissed at them and I feel like I am beyond my rope, I call their father and they get scared. I said, oh, this is how it's going to be? I'm calling your dad. All of a sudden, they grab a vacuum or they start folding some shit. Like, they are afraid. I use that to my advantage. Today, with the incident with the thrown cell phone, I texted him. I texted him and I said, your daughter threw a phone at her brother's freaking head. He's got a knot the size of Texas now. And what did I tell him? I said, I took her phone indefinitely. She's gonna serve him and whatever else I can think of. He goes, Jenaya, serving him is probably, serving him is probably a bit much, but give her double duty. Tell her now she's got to do his chores as well. And I said, okay, fine, I'll do that. So he has a more stable mind when it comes to the disciplinarian stuff. And he knows that I am the emotional affection giver. So both of those things are so important. And so I leverage what he has and he leverages what I have. And that's the teamwork thing. And so that is kind of what my book is saying, or my pamphlet or my handbook or whatever you want to call it. Like, I'm explaining all of those things because I think that if you can keep those things in mind, then maybe you can have a friend. Because now, like, he texted me on my birthday and was like, you're getting old, woman. Like, how old are you?
I hate that.
Like, I mean, it's, to be on a positive terms with a person who you felt like you hated before. Like, it's very rewarding, especially because the kids, they feel good.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it's about.
I feel that. I'm scared to ever call anybody an old woman. Hey, grandma, you still look, and I'm scared to say that they look too young. I keep it balanced. Grandma, you look perfect.
That can be an insult too. I've had women say that shady mess to me. What? You too young to have 3 kids. Exactly. How old are you? Excuse me?
Yo, I just say you
so
look like
guys,
$1 million. Safest.
I heard that when you call someone's child precious, that's code for the kid being ugly.
Damn, I wish I knew.
Never heard that.
Nigga in Vegas.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I don't know if it's a Southern thing, but they say like, "Oh, that baby is just so precious." Because most times it's, "Oh, it's pretty. Or look at those cheeks. Or look at the." But if you can't find anything, you just say the baby is precious.
I saw a little nigga that was so precious in Vegas that he made me lose my video game. I couldn't stop staring at that precious little nigga. I was just like, oh my God, how could somebody be so precious? Oh my goodness.
The only thing I've heard with response to that is usually two good-looking parents usually have an ugly baby, or two ugly parents usually have a good-looking baby. I don't know how true that is, but I don't use precious that way. Like, to me, precious is a special word that I only pull out when the baby has just got me completely hypnotized with cuteness.
I will.
So, like,
no, I'm used to hearing that. I mean, since I was like young, I knew that if somebody says that you were precious, you were in trouble or you were not favored for something. So you know.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Good to know.
I can hear that, right? You are just precious. Look at you.
Well, that's the same thing when a woman calls you sweetie. Sweetie, look. Like, did you just call me sweetie? Yep. You did not just call me sweetie. Like, you're not old enough to call me that. So what do you really have to say right now?
We gonna break it down real quick, sweetie. Just have a seat real quick. Aren't you just precious, nigga?
Sweetie, you are so precious.
Can't wait to start calling people precious. Cause
yes.
I'm about to.
It won't nowhere hit them.
Just the most.
Do you ever get like not having kids? Like shade from people for like deciding not to have children.
Some people, but I really don't. I don't pay them any mind, so I can't even like recall a moment. I just know that I had a situation recently where my patience was really tested. It was the flip side. It was my friend who has kids, and we were trying to do something, but she kept getting calls and being interrupted by her kids or her husband. And I wanted to say, this is why I don't, do this. That would have been me being shady, but that's not my place. Everyone has their path, their journey, their wants and desires. But for me, it just was not having to wipe booties and pick boogers, and also and there's lots of wonderful, beautiful things that go in the middle of all of that too. Trust me, I totally get it. But if anyone comes for me about not wanting to have kids, then I tell them, well, then since you want me to have a kid, you can set up the GoFundMe so I can pay for that little motherfucker, because all my money goes to me right now.
Well, and honestly, like, I think that is one of the things that I kind of envy about women who didn't have kids. Like, I can honestly say that as a 21-year-old woman, the choice to have a kid was out of insecurity. Like, I hated my family, and I was like, I'm going to do better at family. Like, I'm going to have a kid, and so, but then I have a younger sister. She was like, I already have kids. All of my nieces and nephews are my kids. I'm good. And then even my daughter, every once in a while at like the age of 10, Mommy, what if like I don't want to have kids? And I'm like, then you don't have to. You don't. Every woman doesn't have to. So, I notice like sometimes people throw shade, like, kids are beautiful. Like, there's no world where I wouldn't have had my kids. I'm like, you're lying.
I could think of a lot of them. Sometimes I just close my eyes and think about what I would do if I wasn't giving my entire salary away to kids.
Honestly, I can't say that. Every once in a while, I don't want to pick up the phone and say, you can have all three of them. And I'll do the visitation thing. Like, you can have them.
I mean, it's the thing that people don't put in a perspective, or the thing that I didn't think about when I was like, should I have a kid at the age of 21? Shit, if I could go back in time like Bill and Ted, 69, dude! If I could go back in time, it would be different, because the thing about kids, all hate mail could be sent to singlesimulcast@gmail.com. Contact us at 916-572-9016. If you agree with what I say, though, please feel free to hit up the Patreon and leave us a little something, because niggas is struggling because of kids.
Pay us some child support.
Right, that's what I should call the Patreon, child support. The thing about kids is it's never just one. Kids are like roaches. Kids bring kids. God. Kids bring kids. Like, once you have kids, the kids make friends, and those friends bring friends, and kids bring kids.
Why do these little boys knock on my door so loud on Saturday? Bam, 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 bam. Why do I feel like the police are at my door? Mm-hmm. Oh, they just want us to come outside. Tell them to stop knocking on my damn door. Like, oh my God, you are so right.
And the thing about kids and roaches, like, there's connections here. There's never just one kid. There's never just one roach. If you see just one kid or one roach, know that there's something going on in a different place that you can't do anything about at this time.
Yes.
They're going to get into everything, and whatever they touch is ruined. You can't have it anymore. It's theirs. Like, if you see a roach sitting on top of the paper of a cheeseburger, the cheeseburger is dead to you. You don't want it anymore. That's a given. If you're the same cheeseburger and they put their hand on top of the paper, guess what? The next step is either they're going to ask if they can have it, and you'll feel horrible for saying no. Or if they're talking with the sibling, they will simply open their nasty ass, unbrushed, unvarnished mouths and cough on the fucking food. And look at them like, this is mine now.
That's how men feel about women with kids.
Wait.
I shut you up.
Oh my God. Oh, my back, my neck and my back. Oh, they itch. Oh, my spider senses are tingling. My kids are pretty much amazing at this point in time because they're my kids, and so they grew up quite like I wanted them to. Like, I give them the freedom to be, and we also have tons of laughter and love in the household, but their friends suck. Other people's kids generally suck. Unless your kid is on my basketball team, where, again, I'm like a surrogate father to them because I don't take no shit. They suck. My kids are like in the place now where they're like, okay, if this is what's going on, we got to figure out a way to fix it. We got to do what's right in this world. We got to take steps to help out. We got to do this, that, and the third. Your kids are like, if there's something going on in the world and I'm not a part of it, I'm going to fall the fuck out. And if my friends jump off a bridge, fuck yeah, I'm jumping too, and you better be there to catch me. Otherwise, it's your fault for letting me land in the awkward position in the first place. So, I'm just saying all that to say, my kids, yeah, now that they're safe, I like them. But
now that they're safe, you like them.
Yeah, now that they're out, now that they're here, I'm good with them. But if I had known at 21 what I knew now, I wouldn't have had kids till I was maybe like 38, 39, 40, 56, 70, when I'm about to die. And then y'all could just make it on your own at the age of like 14, 15, 16 with the trust fund that I built up for you for not having to pay for kids since the age of 21. Nigga, I could have been rich right now. So much money.
Told my daughter the other day, you cost a boat.
Right?
You cost a boat.
Like, let me be specific in what you have cost me in my life, and I'm not going to point at my body or anything like that, nigga. You see that car right there? That's my car. I'm not playing this game with you. That is literally supposed to be my car, that Porsche right there. But I got to push this nasty-ass minivan because there's so many of y'all. There are so many of you, and you can't get in my van without leaving a part of you behind. It's like they can't get in the car without leaving a juice box or a backpack or clothing or one of them left fucking deodorant in my car, and I didn't see it till I got to work the next day, and I spent the whole day at work wondering what the fuck deodorant did they put on. I leave for work before they get up for school. Whose deodorant did you put on? I found out when I got back home, though, because my deodorant was no longer in my room. And then when I went downstairs to get my deodorant back, I got in trouble. That's my deodorant. Why are you wearing my socks? Why are you wearing my deodorant? Why are you 10 and trying to wear my underwear? Why? No, you can't have this. Just I know. We say do as I do. I know I told you to do as I do, not as I say is a horrible thing to do. But no, nigga, just because I'm eating a steak doesn't mean you get a piece. You wanted mac and cheese. You asked for mac and cheese.
That's annoying. I hate when we go to the restaurant and they order mac and cheese. I could have bought that for 42 cents and you could have ate that at home.
Right.
I bring your behind to the restaurant and I gotta pay $5 to $10 for what I can clearly tell is Kraft from the box. Because you want mac and cheese wherever you go. Like, ugh.
So yeah, Deidre, I just say all that to say you alright. You good.
Yeah, girl.
Just stay on the path. Anybody who says that kids will enrich your life, no the fuck. You're a teacher. You know. You the super on. You know. These kids ain't shit. Kids are the meanest people. Like, they have no filters. They will tell you straight out. My son asked me a few years ago, when he was 5, he asked me if I was pregnant. And I thought for a really long time if he was worth it. I thought about it for a long time. I just looked at him quietly, like it's on my show. You can hear it. The part where he asked me if I was pregnant. It's on an episode. We had this thing called Devin's Corner, I think it's called. And my youngest son would get on there at the age of 3, 4, and 5, and he'd talk. And whatever he wanted to talk about, we would talk about. And that little nigga asked me if I was pregnant, and there's a really long pause when I think about life and the mistakes that I've made. He's not one of them now that he's out. So I answered by saying I'm not pregnant. I had to bust down why I wasn't pregnant. And he said back without hesitation, "You look pregnant. Really pregnant." And that's when I realized my kids don't like me. My kids don't want to hang out. What? Who says that? You're so precious. I wanted to clown my kid, but he was 5. It was all going to go over his head. My feelings were hurt. My feelings were, I was taken aback by a 5-year-old asking me why my stomach was so big, and I couldn't say because you don't finish the food that I cooked for you, so somebody has to eat it. Is that a good excuse? I feel like that's a good excuse. I feel like that works. Deidre, hi. You still here?
I'm here. I don't know where Deidre is.
Right? I feel like we lost Deidre. Like, all the parent talk was just like, you know what?
She's like, I'm good.
But you know what? I think that's the bottom line. If you don't have kids, it is quite all right that you don't have kids, because 9 times out of 10, you're still providing some sort of a service to us, the non-parents. I don't know what services you provide to the kids. I don't really care because they're not your kids. But you provide a service to me, because when I need to get the fuck away from my kids, I know I can go to your house.
What?
And just have a peaceful, quiet. You know, I get sad now that Barnes & Noble is closing down and Borders is closing down, because there's no more safe spaces for me, a book reader, to go to without my kids asking me what the fuck I'm reading. Oh my God.
And you can't go to Starbucks and read.
Nope, I'll get shot. I tried that once and they stared at me because I don't even like coffee. So I just went in there and sat down, because that's what all the white folks were doing. They sitting back there. One nigga was writing a fucking book. Somebody was writing a book using their Wi-Fi, just all happy. Owl City was playing in the background, that song about the fireflies. You might not believe your eyes when 6 million fireflies. That song, they were in there typing. Everything was all happy. And I went in there with my book and just sat down and read. And I felt just weird because they kept walking past me, and they don't come from behind the counter. They don't deliver drinks to us. Why are you walking past me over and over again? So I went up front and I got an ice water. I didn't know that you couldn't do that.
You can't get ice water?
I didn't. I guess not. They were looking at me like, what? Do you want an iced coffee? No, I don't drink coffee. Can I just have water?
Nope.
Nope. Nope.
Nope.
I
Well, you know what I said? On Mother's Day we were talking about this, and I said we need to start attaching a coffee shop to all the barber shops. And that will be the safe space where Black people can go and sit the fuck down for no other reason besides to go sit the fuck down.
See, the only issue that I have with that is that 9 times out of 10, the barbershop, unfortunately, and I'm just keeping it 100, 9 times out of 10, the barbershop isn't a safe space for all Black people.
Why?
Barbershops have a lot of people in there who have these still disjointed ideas about women. Barbershops have these disjointed ideas about gay, lesbian, and trans folks, queer folks. It's not always the safest space to be at for everybody. But
but America is not the safe place for us to be, but somehow we figure it out.
Yeah.
You know, like
but
that.
If I'm making an actual safe space, I want to know from the gate. I don't want you to have to come in and make your own safe space. You know, it's not like
I feel like if I had to tell my son where he could stop, I feel right now like the only place my son could stop is at a barbershop. Because when I've gone to the barbershop, I don't know about anybody else, but when I take my boys to get their haircut, usually the crazy stuff stops when I walk through the door. Maybe that's just the ones that I'd go to and I get lucky, but usually all the crazy talk will stop when I come through the door, and they don't talk about women in a really weird way. You know, they bring it down when the little ones come in or when the women come in. And they speak nicely to my kids, and everyone's Black, so my kids for a few minutes are looking at a bunch of grown men being respectful towards each other, and it makes me feel okay. So I don't know.
I feel that. And I do find that there are a lot of shops that are trying to become more family oriented in the Black community, because for a long time we have said that the barbershop is that place of comfort and learning and open exchange for Black folks, but for a long time it was just Black men. So it's almost like walking into a cigar lounge for white people.
Yeah, I mean, whenever I've gone, I've had men shake my son's hand. How you doing, man? You know, try to talk to him like he's a grown man a little bit, and correcting them if they felt like my son was out of line a little bit, you know. Don't talk to your mom that way. Like, men, it's funny to me how there's this stereotype about Black men's non-involvement in children's lives when Black men are actually quite nurturing to children. Like, I don't know where that stereotype has come from, but there's all kinds of memes about, you know, just there's a meme with a white girl in it. It's like, once you get pregnant by a Black guy, you're automatically a single mom. Like, and I was like, but that's not the case. Like, where is this coming from? Black men are totally involved in their kids' lives. Like, I don't know where that comes from.
I had the same place a lot of, you know where it comes from.
Yeah.
You know. But yeah, it's a beautiful place to go to. It's just not always. Sometimes there's places where we're still ironing out the wrinkles.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's the best way to put it.
Yeah.
So, you know what, Jenaya, go ahead and let people know again where they can actually. What the hell's your show? What's it about? Never got to it.
That's true. So it started as Black Kid Magic, and then Black people scared me out of that name. So I just turned it to something else, and now you're kind of convincing me to go back to the original name. And so basically, I think this energy kind of spurred from my daughter's experience at school and the lack of representation of just positive characters on television. or in books and stuff. So my daughter goes to this school where these kids are very rough. They, just to give like a small singular example maybe two examples. So the first example is a little boy in art class drew a penis on a piece of paper and then shoved it into her face. Then one day she's walking home and a boy says to her, when I grow up, I'm going to be rich and I'm going to have a shotgun and I'm going to have lots of maids and people working for me. And if they don't do what I say, I'm going to make them get down on their knees and point my gun at them and make them suck my dick.
Wait, what?
Now, yes, and he's either in the 4th or 5th grade, because this is an elementary school and my daughter's in the 4th grade. And I'm just like, where the fuck did he get that from? Like, what? He had it all figured out. And on a daily basis, first of all, my daughter is kind of, she's got kind of an androgynous look. She's not, she's not a super frilly feminine girl. Mm-hmm. She's, and so she's called names all the time about how she looks. Are you a boy? All this other stuff. And I'm just like, oh God, they can't just be kids and fucking play. Like, why does my daughter have to get all of this hate? And so it started with just like a character, just a little brown girl being strong. And I am listening to this book called The 48 Laws of Power. And The 48 Laws of Power is written by a guy named, I forget his name right now, but he explains each of these different laws of how to be powerful or to put yourself in a powerful position. And it allows you to be strategic, and he gives all kinds of historical examples for each of the laws. And then I thought, there's no examples of women seeking power that I can think of, like, not no examples. There's not a lot of examples of women seeking power and also being considered, women. Like, typically, women are not cast in roles where they have to be strategic and powerful and lead the day or whatever. And so I thought, I'll create a character. She's a little girl. She's in the 6th grade, and she is parented by homosexual mothers, and one of her mothers passes away. And so she decides to go into the old books of her late mother. And one of the books in the box is The 48 Laws of Power. So Zora is her name, and she's very a strategic child. She's mathematically inclined. She likes to compete, and she likes to plan, which are not typically traits that you find in women, let alone Black female characters. And so with each episode, she's in a different place in her pursuit of power. So let's see, I'm trying to remember a little bit. So like, the first law of power is don't outshine the master. So when you are seeking power, everyone has a master at some point, a leader, someone who is in a higher place than you. Don't outshine your master. What you want to do is make your master look good so that you become indispensable to them. That gives you power, because then they want to give you things. And in return, you gain power by making them look good. But if you outshine them, then they'll do what they can to get rid of you because they become threatened by you. So that's the first law of power. Don't outshine the master. So in the first episode of Zora and the 48 Laws, Zora wants to become math ambassador, which is basically a position in her math class where whenever she's done with her work, she can walk around and help the rest of her classmates. She really wants to do this because she likes helping her classmates do math. So she remembers the first law of power when Sheila, who is very competitive with Zora, points out that the teacher made a mistake on the board. And so Sheila's like, I can't believe her. She made a mistake. And Zora is thinking, should I go tell the teacher that she made a mistake, or should I just do what I know will get me the job, which is being helpful, because the whole math ambassador job is about being helpful to your classmates. So Zora decides, I think I'll keep my seat. But Sheila goes up. Oh, miss, you did this wrong. And in front of the whole class, she calls the teacher out. You did this wrong. Erases the teacher's work, redoes it herself. And Sheila doesn't end up getting the job because Sheila didn't do what the job required, which was to be helpful. Zora did what she was supposed to do, which was be helpful. It wasn't important to Zora to point out the teacher's mistake because she didn't think it was smart. So she acted strategically, and she got what she was going for. She got the job of math ambassador in her classroom. And then the next law of power is, what is it? Learn how to use your enemies. Something about don't give your friends too much trust. Learn how to use your enemies. And so in that episode, Zora has to decide whether or not she wants to work on a math project with her best friend, who isn't very committed, or if she wants to work with Sheila, who is normally very competitive, but she knows that Sheila loves to win just as much as she does, and she's very smart. So, you know, these are decisions that little kids have to make on a daily basis. Like, are you going to be responsible? And so Zora decides, I'm still Vicky's friend, which is her friend, but Sheila and I are going to work together because I know that my goal is to win. So I'm going to partner with someone who can help me reach my goal. And so the importance of Zora is to embody a young girl who is being competitive, but she's being competitive for reasons that are noble. So she's competing for math ambassador because she loves how it feels to help her classmates learn math. She competes for things for noble reasons. She doesn't compete for the sake of power itself, but she wants to gain power so that when she decides she wants to be generous, she's in the position to be generous. And then on the side, Zora has a younger brother who is a bit more introverted. And so he has his little story spinoffs where he goes through things on the edges of the story. And then he tells kids something different that Zora's story didn't quite tell us. And so then I have positive affirmations that I'm posting on there. You know, I am safe. I am a problem solver. Like I have hundreds of them, like about 150, and I've only gotten through maybe 7 or 8 of them. So I've got a lot of positive affirmations to post. And then, and I want to do more, but there's only so much that I can do with my time because I'm also an audiobook producer, and I'm working on a couple of projects right now. But Zora is very important to me, and I hope that she has a future beyond my podcast. But that's what it's about.
Yeah, you can't call it woke folk. You can't call it woke kids. You can't. You can't.
Okay, so what do I call this podcast?
It's Zora's black, right?
She is black, yeah.
The community she's in is primarily in your mind because it's yours. It's your world that you built. When you picture this community, what's a community?
Well, her best friend is a Hispanic boy who is transgender.
Okay.
Her parents are black. Her parent, now that her mother is a widow. And Sheila is an Italian girl.
Okay.
So white. And her teachers are black. I've given them African last names. So all of the people who have power are black, but the world isn't all black. So all the characters won't be black, but the 2 teachers that I've written in are both black with African last names. Zora is the main character who is black. Her brother is black. Her mom is black. I'm trying to throw in as much diversity as I can, which is why I have her best friend as a Hispanic transgender child who is, you know, dealing with those types of issues on the side. But mainly the concept was to come up with black characters who are who are displaying traits that we don't often see. Like her younger brother is an introverted child who thinks a lot and he likes to do research. And he feels strongly about finding information and not being a slave to anyone else's explanation. And these two children are not emotional children. Girls typically are portrayed as very emotional, but Zora's relationship with her mother is mom is more emotionally inclined than Zora is. And so often Zora has to be reminded to think about people's emotions because Zora is very mathematic about everything. Does it make sense? Does it not make sense? And typically women aren't portrayed that way. But what I have found in working just this 1 year in the school where I'm working, there are a lot of girls who are like that. But for some reason in the media, we are not portrayed as being strategic thinkers. We're portrayed as being overly emotional, weak, unable to handle strength, unable to handle power. And it's just so inaccurate. So that's why I gave Zora the personality that she has. Because I don't know of anyone else who is quite like her.
Yeah. It's not my story. It's not my world. It's not my characters. But I feel like I know that it's yours. The name of the book, the name of the show, the name of the world is yours. You shouldn't give license to that sort of stuff to outsiders. No matter what.
Yeah.
You know, even if they have the best intentions, it's not their world. That's like me coming up to you and saying, you know, what's your son's name?
Gabriel.
That's like me coming up to you while you're still pregnant with Gabriel and saying, you know what? Gabriel seems like a really nice name, but I would name him Charles. Okay, good for you, but it's not your kid. It's not your decision. It's my kid and it's my decision, and your show is your baby. Your book is your baby. Your creative process. It is everything outside of your family. You can't let somebody else tell you how it's going to be. That's like letting somebody else step into your life and just take a piece of your life and say, I'm running this part now. That's not how it works. So I'm not going to say what you should name your show. I'm just going to say that you had a name for your show.
That you like.
well, no. Completely independent. If it was a name that I hated, if it was something that you came up with, I just never want people to change their mind because somebody else says that you should change your mind.
Yeah.
Because that's just not how this should work. My answer to everybody who tells me to do something, honestly, at this juncture in time, is I will give that all the consideration I feel it deserves.
That's a good response.
And
because that could mean just about anything.
Exactly. And the folks who are telling you to name your show that, they're not pledging their allegiance to your show. If you change your show to that name, they're not going to suddenly, I named that show, I'm going to be one of the best listeners. That's not how this works.
That's very true.
You may as well be happy with your stuff, your beauty, your name, your world. And to all y'all out there who are listening to this, same thing. Like, if there's something that you got going on that you adore doing, if you really are strongly in belief of it, don't let anybody steal your joy. Don't let anybody steal your time. Don't let anybody steal your progress. Don't. There's going to be people all the time who have the best intentions. I swear to God, they have the best intentions in mind, but they're not helping you. You might have to ignore them for a while. Maybe name an episode Woke Kidz. and just stick with your name. Or name one of your episodes Black Kid Magic and stick with the other name. Or make your own new name. But whatever you're going to do, it has to be you.
I agree.
This Single Simulcast, episode 295. Wow, we're getting close to 300 every day.
Wow.
Again, to those all who are listening, we appreciate you. Shantae will be back on Friday. Even though the seasons are changing, some folks still may need help. And we are here for you. I need help all the time. My mind, my thoughts, my emotions, they're not always where I will want them to be, even in the sunniest of days. The temperature does not always control your emotions. And it's okay. We're here. Inbox us on Facebook. DM us on Twitter. Email us. We will listen. If you need us to talk, we'll talk, but mostly we'll listen. And without judgment. And without fear of it getting to anybody else. I'm not saying that we're counselors. We are not that good, but we will give you an unjudging ear. Because sometimes when you're feeling alone, that may be all you need to help you see that you're not walking this path by yourself. We are walking with you. Again, this Single Simulcast, episode 295. Thank y'all so much for listening. Jenaya, thank you so much for stopping by. Deidre, wherever you went to, thank you so much for stopping by. I greatly appreciate both of y'all. We'll holler at you later. Y'all be good. Peace.
This is Single Simulcast. Don't know by now that you slip.